right. Well, this began for me, I want to say, a week ago Wednesday. I simply couldn't log in to PSN automatically. Weird little hiccup. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll force login. Bam, everything's fine. This had been going on for probably 2 or 3 days until I was there with the front row seat when it happened, trying to watch Netflix. And it just stopped. And now here we are.
In the aftermath.
In the aftermath, yes. So now, James, I've already gone ahead and canceled the credit card I had linked to my account. I'm not that paranoid about these identity theft schemes these days, or whatever you want to call them, simply because I've been the victim of so many of them. It seems like once every other month, I'm getting a letter in the mail from an insurer or a financial institution or a place of business saying, hi, our servers have been compromised. Here's a new card, or here's a new ID number, or any other number of things.
That actually happened to me last week, out of the blue.
I don't think everyone's personal information is out there, whether you like that or not. So I don't think that really is the biggest issue here. I mean, whether you were a PlayStation Network subscriber or not, you better not click on an email that's, asking you to give your mother's maiden name, your shoe size, and, the square footage of your master bathroom. It's not, there's certain information you don't share over the internet. And I think any savvy net user understands that. So I don't think that's really the big issue here. There's still the specter hanging over the whole thing, which is, were credit card numbers compromised? Sony's still not being as forthcoming as we'd like about that. But, that's really, to me, the only thing that really concerned me in this whole mess. And, that's why I did close out my account. Actually, the day this was announced, that personal information and credit card numbers may have been compromised, I just called up my provider and nixed the whole thing. But
that's a noisy bike or whatever that was.
That was a motorcycle. I'm sorry. I'm enjoying the fresh air today, gentlemen.
That's okay.
That
was kind of fitting.
Thank you. Yes, that was PlayStation Network subscribers riding off into the sunset.
Out of here without a cause.
No, that was the hackers with all the details. See you later, suckers. I think my main problem, and most of the people who've commented on this, his main problem is not that the service went down, not that it was, attacked by outsiders, because that kind of stuff happens all the time in internet land in the times we live in. It's the fact that Sony couldn't give consumers a clear and quick response to the questions of where is PlayStation Network, are my details safe, etc. It's only really today, which we're recording on a Sunday, May 1st, Sony have actually clarified the situation in a official press conference. This is over a week and a half since the service actually went down.
Yeah.
And in that time, we've only been having drips and drabs of information from the Sony's blog.
Right. And I'm sorry, a blog is not a place or to be dispensing this information, in my opinion. I mean, exactly, I should be
hey guys, how you doing?
PlayStation site.
Great day, isn't it? Oh, by the way, your personal details may have been compromised. Better close out that credit card.
Right. As big of a blight as it is on the PlayStation.com site, I'm sorry, I should type PlayStation.com into my web browser, and one of the first things I should see should be notifications about the service outage and what it means to me as a subscriber.
That seems to be the crux of this. Even though this is business as usual in the age of cyber criminality, again, even though this is perhaps typical for Sony, it does seem like an unmitigated public relations debacle. Mm-hmm. That there was the wrong kind of corporate optimism, the maybe it won't be nearly as bad as we think. Maybe our customers' personal information hasn't been spirited away by people who are looking to bankrupt any and all of them.
Right. And meanwhile, while execs
by.
keep their fingers crossed,
Right.
What's happening? A lot,
And what we were hearing out of the PlayStation blog post as well was kind of contradictory at times as well. They didn't come out straight away and saying that they were the ones who actually took PlayStation Network down themselves because they detected intrusion. They just kept everyone in the dark till basically today, even though they did send out, I don't know if you received an email as well, Ed. I received one from Sony on the 28th, so that was 3-4 days ago now. Basically trying to reassure customers, or well, not even reassure, just state what's happened.
Right, and then advise us on who to contact if we're at all concerned about identity theft. So in the U.S., everyone, it's the Fair Trade Commission.
Speaking of the U.S., I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Sony, being a Japanese company, probably did not understand the American penchant for transparency, or at least the vehement expectation among American consumers for transparency.
Well, I'll tell you what shocked me was that...
And the vengeance that comes from said consumer scorned.
Oh, yeah, we're mean. Or at least we take our shopping seriously.
You've sort of hit on something there. I think Sony were... I'm guessing the people who run the Sony blog and the people who actually work at the data center for PlayStation Network, which I believe they said was actually in San Diego, California. They're probably different, arms of Sony and not perhaps, communicating properly with each other, and then, giving the public an informed appraisal of what actually has happened as well. And also that there's this kind of perception that Japan doesn't quite understand online and the internet as much as the West, especially when it comes to video games. Just they don't, they don't understand all the need for accessibility and I guess in this case security. So yeah, that's perhaps a symptom of how such a big company could be
so insouciant
caught out by hacks.
about an incident that could very well do a fair amount of damage to their credibility. Now, I'm sure there is a lot of cause for their confidence in their product simply overwhelming any kind of damage that this does. That people will say, whatever, it happens. I want a PS3 because I want to play these games. And that to a degree, it may be what the powers that be are banking on. But certainly this is going to be indelible in the minds of a lot of people who were either actively compromised or know someone who was and is knowledgeable and talkative when it comes to gaming. So it'll be, like the PSN disaster.
Well, yesterday I was also reading an article, I can't remember if it was on Forbes or Money or one of these, and just looking at the business ramifications of this, you really can't just think that Sony's the only company being negatively affected by this. Because if even, say, 10 or 20% of users call their bank to change their credit card information or their bank card and get a new card shipped to them, apparently it costs between $5 and $7 per instance of a card replacement.
That's materials, that's labor.
Yeah.
That's money.
Yeah. So it's hundreds of millions of dollars just in terms of bank services incurred as a result of this intrusion. So yes, true. I'm sure Sony's losing millions upon millions of dollars in revenue right now, but it's not a closed system at all.
And don't forget about the the third parties who sell their products on the PlayStation Store as well. Basically gone without 2 weeks with, not making any money.
Yeah, twiddling their thumbs.
Can't go and buy their games. I mean, I'm not sure, but because I don't use the PlayStation as much for playing downloadable games. But with Xbox Live, if you're not signed on into Xbox Live or on the original console you download your content on, you can't actually use most games and DLC that you've downloaded from Xbox Live Marketplace. So if it's a similar system on PlayStation 3, people might be actually locked out of games they've already purchased.
That's very interesting, and I haven't actually tried that yet either. I should, because I have a number of downloadable games. Oh, here comes another motorcycle, everybody. There he goes. Wait for it.
My cat's getting hurt.
There he goes. All right, there he goes. But yeah, no, that's a very good point. Somehow I'm under the impression that's not how PlayStation Network operates with downloadable games. But I'm not positive. I don't know what requires authentication and what does not. If that is the case, you're right. That's a huge pain in the ass. But everything I've heard so far is that only online multiplayer games have really been affected by this. Since I haven't heard a huge outcry of people not being able to play arcade titles, I'd imagine they're unaffected, but I can't guarantee that.
Well, here's what's on my mind. How is it done? Could it be done to someone else? Which means, probably excluding the Wii, because all that you need to do is, I guess, hotwire it. So, I don't know, legions of crooks break into your home and take something. I don't know. I
don't get where you're going with that, but that's hysterical. So continue, please.
I don't know if I'm not setting it up well. I mean, was that...
Well, to me, you just completely trashed
yes, I did.
Nintendo as having absolutely no concept of the internet, what it's used for, or...
All right, thank you.
You could use it to buy things.
Okay, so I think this is an instance in which Nintendo's Luddism or innocence of the internet has them saying, see, we knew this was nothing but trouble. But...
well, oddly enough, I don't think Nintendo stores credit card information. Every time I log on, I may have set up this as a preference. I need to enter my credit card number every single time. And I'm pretty lazy, so if I could have popped it in there, I probably would have. So I don't think they let you store it.
Yes, and even then, you have to redeem the Wii points.
Exactly,
so
you're buying
you don't even
points. Yep.
Yeah. You don't even have to put your card in every single time. So
multiple cutouts.
Less chance, yeah.
But potentially, Xbox Live could be vulnerable in the same way. Makes you wonder if something similar will happen. Perhaps it is only a vulnerability of Sony's, and nothing will happen to Microsoft. We may see changes in architecture, changes in a procedure that quietly come about because of this, because the IT folks at Microsoft learn what happened and they want to plug holes.
Well, I think that no matter what, this is going to be a wake-up call for the industry. I'm sure Nintendo and Microsoft are really looking at their network strongly over the last week and a half, because they don't want the same thing to happen to them. Who would?
Yeah.
But James did raise an interesting point as well, and I don't know enough about, obviously, for good reason, we don't know how these servers are set up within these corporations. But I would imagine that any points-based economy is far more secure than one like Sony's, which was simply give me your credit card and make the purchase. Because you could very feasibly have two completely distinct clusters of servers handling all transactions. So there could be a Microsoft financial server, and then there's Xbox Live.
Right. And you can't buy Japanese groceries with Xbox points.
Exactly. They're itchy and scratchy bucks, and that's the good thing. I mean, much like traveler's checks. I mean, there's a reason for transferring currency. One of them is control, which is probably the main reason why a lot of these companies wanted to have points-based economies, but another reason is definitely security. You're just adding an extra layer of complexity to a transaction, which makes it harder for somebody to get at personal information. So that'll be interesting to see as well, is if Sony begins to somehow shy away from, direct sales, for lack of a better, this isn't direct, what would we call that model? A non-point system? I don't know. But if they begin to shy away from that, and suddenly we do see PlayStation bucks on the horizon, or some other level of security, only time will tell. But
you've got to think that they're madly looking for precautions and safeguards, because I don't think they want to abandon their system.
No, well, I mean, heck, what was just a week prior to this all happening, they rolled out a brand new music service.
Yes.
Curiosity?
Yeah. Curiosity,
yes.
ho.
So clearly Sony's invested in, digital media distribution. They're not going to stop using the PlayStation 3 as their portal for, letting consumers access digital media. I mean, heck, that's basically what I use my PlayStation 3 for. I don't use it really as a gaming console. I think Portal 2 is the first game I've purchased for PlayStation 3 in close to a year. Everything I do on my system is media related. That's not to say I don't use it a lot. I probably spend more time on my PS3 than I do on my Xbox, because it is my television, it's my Blu-ray player, it's my DVD player, stream music through it. It is my primary media streaming device. So, it's just as big a pain in the ass for a user who is using it to access media as somebody who's trying to play games online. This network service outage. So, yeah.
Something tells me that Xbox Live, at least to me, feels more secure. Microsoft have had almost a whole extra console generation to refine Live compared to Sony's PSN, which I believe only launched when the PlayStation 3 launched, whereas Xbox Live launched back in the Halo 2 days of the original Xbox. To my memory, there hasn't been a similar situation that's happened to Xbox Live. So
the only comparable situation was a number of Christmases ago, maybe in 2007 or 2008. Service was out for actually a pretty long time, about 13 days, if I recall, for some users. It varied depending on where you were, how long the service outage lasted. But that was not related to a security breach. That was a lot of people getting Xbox 360s for Christmas and servers not being able to meet demand.
I remember that.
So that was the big hiccup for Xbox, but there's never been, at least to the best of our knowledge, any instance where there's been a server compromise or anything of that nature.
But he was wearing glasses and a mustache. I thought it was Groucho Marx.
I'd like to think that Microsoft would be faster to address consumers as well if that would happen to them. Well, of course, in retrospect, after this incident, you'd hope any of the big three would be more on the ball. But yeah, I would just seem to, I don't know, maybe I trust Microsoft a little bit too much, but I don't know. I do feel substantially more safe with Microsoft than I do.
It's funny you say that, because I feel the exact same way. I've felt that whenever there has been an issue with service, Microsoft has always been very forthcoming with the fact that there was an issue in service.
Yeah.
And they always are very quick to let people know what they're doing to fix it and what you can expect in the future. I think part what helps Microsoft a lot too is they've done a very good job of promoting personalities that are the consumer's gateway to the organization. Like what's his name, Major Nelson.
Yeah.
Love him or hate him, the idea of this guy is brilliant. I'll start that over. The idea of this
he didn't
guy
like him.
is good.
Left in the dust.
It really is brilliant on Sony's part because, he's just like a likable everyman who sits down and has, little digital fireside chats with Xbox Live users, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And, let you know what's up and what's going to happen in the future. Sony does not have anything to compare with that. What's the fake vice president they have that everyone thinks is hysterical? And he is. Of course, the people operating this guy's Twitter account also have screwed things up royally on a number of occasions, because didn't they end up republishing the PS3 root code at one point?
Yes.
And a Twitter
they
feed?
retweeted the hex code or whatever it was.
Right. Some teenager decides to tweet hacked root code on the Sony Twitter feed, and then this guy or somebody posing as this character retweets it. And what is this? Some kind of a joke? No, sir, that's your root code. Yeah. So, needless to say, that post was pulled, and I'm sure Sony has reevaluated how to use this character and its likeness in the future. But there really never has been that same openness, it seems. And part of it perhaps is that Sony thinks, we aren't really charging people an upfront fee for this service, so do we need to have that sort of openness? We're providing you a free service. No, you're not providing us a free service. You're providing me a gateway to which I pay money for services, be they from you or from third parties. So Sony's plenty responsible, and PSN needs to be treated as if it were a paid service, even if I'm not outright paying money to access it.
And speaking of monetary values, what are your opinions, respectively, on the compensation that has recently been announced?
I think me and Ed are on the same wavelength here, but it's absolute. It's nothing really. Like everybody who's already a PlayStation Network subscriber is going to be receiving 30 days of PlayStation Plus membership for free, which I'm not entirely sure, but that sounds like the service should be having that already as a sort of 1 month free trial.
That's what it sounds like, actually. It sounds like a recasted trial membership.
Yeah,
being held up as an IOU.
They might as well be sending us all postcards advertising PlayStation Plus in the mail. I mean, that's basically what they're doing.
Yeah.
We're back online, everybody. Now, please pay extra money so you can have this extra service.
Now that we're all talking about PlayStation Network, did you know?
Yeah, it's not nowhere near enough. I mean, I want to say that when we were talking about Microsoft downtime before, something went off in my brain that makes me think that they actually gave out a free game at one point for some kind of technical
they did
problems as an apology. Yeah,
they did. You had your choice of like 4 or 5 titles.
Yeah, so Sony's apology is definitely seen.
It's really just a marketing pitch.
Comparison.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, granted, with PlayStation Plus, you will be getting free games. However, as soon as your PlayStation Plus trial period ends, your free games become unplayable. I don't think they mentioned that little fact, because that is the nature of PlayStation Plus. It's actually, I've got to say, I'm kind of a fan of PlayStation Plus. I signed up for one reason and one reason only. I needed to experience Hulu Plus on PlayStation 3 as soon as it was available. And the only way to do that was to be a PlayStation Plus subscriber. So yes, I basically paid $50 to be a beta tester. You can make fun of me for that, but everyone did that when they bought that one game that came with the Halo 3 beta code 2 years ago. Crackdown. Did anybody really buy Crackdown to play Crackdown?
You probably did.
I actually quite like Crackdown, but that's
it actually is a pretty good game besides the point. But granted, I think that one of the main reasons a lot of people in the States definitely bought that game was to play Halo 3 in beta form. But it's PlayStation Plus is actually a rather sound service. They don't do a very good job of advertising what all you get with it, but if you're an idea of basically, if you're a fan of the idea of paying a subscription fee for access to third-party arcade games, it's actually a pretty good deal. If you want to have a constant stream of new things to try, because every month you're getting brand new games to download. But yeah, that's besides the point. Because 30 days of that is something that they should have been doing anyways.
So the bottom line, is this the Exxon Valdez of the video game industry?
Goodness. I'm trying to think of an analogy for oil-covered penguins. Actually, wait, there aren't penguins in the North Pole, are there? Oil-covered water birds.
Yeah, basically.
See, if I didn't have to have PlayStation Network to review games on, I may have, kind of rage quit after this because, yeah, it's not just that they were hacked. It was the poor communication with consumers. It was really, really upset me, shall we say?
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. If I did not need a PlayStation Network for authentication to use a number of the third-party applications I've already downloaded, I too would be canceling my membership right now. If I could use Netflix on my PS3, if I could use Hulu Plus on my PS3 without being a PSN subscriber, that's exactly what I would do. However, because I'm such a fan of the PS3's software as, for media streaming and its apps for accessing services, I'm basically going to bite the bullet and just stick with it. But it's a shame. I think this really has sullied the appearance and the persona of Sony and PlayStation. Yeah, it is a shame.